Testing 1, 2, 3.
Need to go back.
Oh, there it goes.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Hello, hello. Now it's picking up on this. This is the built-in.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Test, test. Test, 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 test. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. I'll just try to switch it to the. Yeah, we might just try switching it to the cannons input. And Wirecast.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Yeah, you got it. Just turn them on. Yeah. All right, I think we're almost ready to get started. We have a live audience joining us today, so we are testing some new live streaming capabilities as well as presenting to them live. We had some requests from regional centers and other faculty members that are not on campus requesting to hear these Sakai workshops, so we're trying that out. I'm going to change the format up a little bit. I'm going to be presenting for about a half an hour to 45 minutes through my presentation. I'm going to talk about 4 different topics within tests and quizzes. After that 45 minutes, I'll go into a questions time and open up the floor for both questions in-house and online. So please bear with me as I might repeat questions and that kind of stuff so our online viewers can hear it. So again, welcome to the Sakai workshop. How many of you currently are teaching a Sakai course online right now? How many are you using Sakai as a companion to a face-to-face course? Excellent. Anybody new to Sakai? Excellent. New to testing quizzes? Sweet. All right, so here we go. Let's get started. Maybe. All right. So today, again, I'm going to be covering the Sakai testing quizzes tool. I'm going to cover some simple ways to simplify the input of testing quizzes into Sakai. I'm going to cover some settings, some editing the settings and publishing our testing quizzes, as well as ways to simplify grading and using the gradebook tool and the testing quizzes tool together. Again, I'm going to go over testing quizzes using markup text. Markup text is a form of shorthand notation that allows you to input quizzes automatically rather than step by step. I'm going to go over editing and publishing quizzes. I'm going to go over grading quizzes and using question pools. So whose testing quizzes tool looks like this? A nice long list of quizzes. Maybe we have some repeating quizzes in here. We have some copies of quizzes. We've replicated some. We have some parts, part 1 and part 2 quizzes. This is quite a mess when it comes to the testing quizzes tool. Question pools are one way we can help organize this. Using the markup text tool is another way we're going to help organize this, and I will also be going over the differences between working copies and published copies. That's kind of one of the more newer features to the testing quizzes tool. Or maybe your testing quizzes tool looks like this. It has no content in it. You don't know where to start. It's confusing. Kind of makes me feel like this sometimes, and scratching my head, not knowing where to start. Even the create a new quiz button, it is there, but it's a little hard to find, I must admit. So first off, I'm going to go over the different areas on this page. This is the first page. If you hit the testing quizzes tool, and you're welcome to follow along with me on your laptops. If you hit the testing quizzes tool inside of your Sakai course, you're going to come up to a blank page. So the first thing I'll be talking about is creating using markup text. The second thing I'll be talking about is editing settings within inside a certain tool right here. The third thing I will be talking about is publishing and grading quizzes. And then the last thing, talking about question pools. So again, all these things are right here on the home page. They're a little bit in different places. We use this box to create tools. We also can use the assessment tab up here and the assessment types to create tester quizzes. The question pool option is up here, as well as editing your settings and your list of testing quizzes below here. So markup text is a type of notation that we use to simplify our input into the testing quizzes tool. So it has a few general requirements, and they're pretty easy. The first thing you have to follow is a numbering convention. So you need to put the number of a quiz, the number of a question, excuse me, and then the points associated with it in parentheses after that. And that's really all you have to follow. Having a number, a period, and then a point value in parentheses, you're halfway done to creating your first question in a quiz, or maybe even creating all your questions within a quiz at the same time. The second formatting that is required is putting an asterisk next to the right answer. So if A is your right answer, or true is your right answer, you would be putting the asterisk next to that that correct answer. For a short essay question, you have to follow the first bullet, putting the question, the period, the point value, and then leaving the question blank after that. In Sakai, it gives it to you for you. It shows you where to be. It gives you examples over here on the side. You can click the type of question you might be looking to input. It gives you a blank input box, allows you to copy and paste the markup text that you've already created, maybe inside of a Google Drive document or a Word document. You can easily go into that Word doc, or maybe you're using quizzes that are already pre-formatted. You're downloading them from a textbook or something like that. You could open up that document, edit the markup text, add the point values, the numbering convention, add your asterisks, copy that entire chunk of text into this box, and click next, and you're almost done creating your quiz. Rather than sitting through and inputting a question by question by question in separate panels, and adding parts and adding questions. This is a much more simpler version of that. So I'm going to go over a quick few examples of markup text. The simplest being multiple choice, asking a multiple choice question: who was the first president of the United States? There's 4 available answers, and I'm marking A, the right answer, Washington, with an asterisk in the front. And then this question would come in. It would load into Sakai. It would assign a point value for it that I specified, as well as check the right answer with inside of the question.
Are there handouts or anything that we can follow along with?
There again, if you could hold your questions to the end. I'm going to try to get through my presentation, and then we can go over questions at the end, and I will have resources at the end as well. But specifically for resources on markup text inside of Sakai, there's an instructional pane right on the side of markup text. So again, another example of a multiple correct answer. Again, this is a multiple choice question. Which of the cartoon characters below can fly? I've assigned it a point value, and I've chosen A and C as my right answer. Those are definitely the only 2 cartoon characters that can fly. Snoopy can fly, but Charlie Brown cannot. And then finally, a fill-in-the-blank answer. What is the name of Batman's sidekick? And I only have 1 correct answer, Robin, with the asterisk next to it. And the last 2 examples, a short essay example. It does not have any answer. It is unlisted. The only thing I'm specifying is the number of the question and the point value. And the second example, the true-false example, has the asterisk on the false, which I would hope is the right answer to that question. So after you hit that next button, you've inputted your 5 questions. This is what it looks like. Sakai's done the work for you. It's inputted your questions and it has them itemized over here. It's telling you the type of question over here, the point value, and finally the answer. And you even have the ability to go back and change these answers afterwards if the asterisk didn't line up correctly or something like that, or your formatting was a little off. If one of the questions is misspelled or typed wrong, hitting the back button takes you right back to that pane to edit. Or we can move on from here and go ahead and create an assessment. Or we could even create a question pool from here. So we could kind of bank the quiz that we're creating now and save it for later to input into maybe a larger final or a randomized quiz, something to that effect. So next I'm going to move on to the settings tool inside of a test and quiz. There's a few different ways that we can access the settings. The easiest way is to go next to the quiz that you're looking to edit or you're looking to grade, and to look for this select action drop-down menu. This is where most of your settings and the different things that you could do to a quiz will be listed. For this, we're going to click on the button. We're going to select the settings drop-down, and we're going to get this nice long list next to us. There's some stuff kind of buried in here. Sometimes it's a little hard to find. To operate this menu, is a little different than most tools in Sakai. You have to click these individual arrows to get the content that's hidden behind these setting panes to display. Some things that I'm going to go over in kind of the more well-used and important settings inside of the quiz settings is the assessment type information, which changes the, you could change the title or some different attributes of the quiz, the delivery dates, assigning a start date and an end date to your quiz, the timed assessment, which shows you could allow an hour, a half an hour, 2 hours. You could time your assessment for students, as well as submission status. There's a number of submissions. How many times you want the students to be able to submit their quiz. Maybe you only want them to be able to submit it once or twice, and allowing for resubmissions. And then finally, the most important guy down here is grading. So first, I want to go over delivery dates. You have to have some delivery dates set for your test and quiz. This is going to allow it to open up for students and then close for students. You could have an open-ended quiz, something that was open the entire semester, something that students were submitting to, but something like the assignments tool or even a blog or something might be more applicable than a quiz. Adding due dates is essential. It opens it up and it closes it the quiz for you automatically, rather than you having to worry about going in and making sure that quiz is published, the dates are set properly, and all that kind of stuff. So there's two ways to set delivery dates. You can click on this little calendar icon and get a small calendar wizard and click through and find the date you want, or you could enter the date and time manually. Next is timed assessments. So you can limit the amount of time students spend inside of your test. This is one of the more simpler tools. You click that you want to have a timed assessment with a time limit, and then you set the drop-down menus to the time that you'd like to allot.
Can I ask a quick question?
Mm-hmm.
When I try to select the time to administer the test, it gave me like a stopwatch time, and I couldn't find whether it was AM or PM. So I inadvertently, so I guess it's like 1,500 hours.
Yeah, it would probably be going military time.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that I put 12 noon and it was 12 midnight.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the intricacies of Sakai is setting 11:59 a.m. or p.m. to have the quiz open at a certain time, rather than setting it at 12 a.m. or 12 p.m. and confusing the system what day it should be opening and what hour of the day it should be opening. Next is submissions. This allows you to choose the number of submissions allowed. It allows for you to choose things like whether they can submit it late or submit it more than once. There are ways to allow students to retake your quiz outside of this preference. But if you have a hard quiz, or you have something that is a lot of short answer, or maybe a lot of essay questions, allowing multiple submissions might be a good idea. And finally, grading. Grading, again, is probably one of the most important settings that you need to set for your test and quiz. If you want your test and quiz to talk to the gradebook application or the gradebook tool, this setting right here is the most important setting. You need to take the gradebook options from none down to grade sent to gradebook. So this is now associating this test and quiz item with a gradebook item. I'm going to go over how to edit the gradebook item and how to use the gradebook item inside of gradebook right after this. But again, one of the most important settings is having grade sent to gradebook checked. And again, it would be in this drop-down menu, and you would be clicking the grading drop-down menu to access this menu. So next we're going to talk about settings, publishing our quiz, getting it live to where students can take the quiz and see the results afterwards as well. So again, once you click the Save Settings button, you'll be asked to either save your settings or save your settings and publish. If you're ready to publish that quiz and send it over to students, you're going to be hitting the first button. If you're just still making changes to your quiz, you'll be hitting the Save Settings button. And then after you hit that Save Settings and Publish button, it's going to ask you one more time, are you sure you want to publish your quiz? Before you create that quiz and let it go live, it's going to ask you, it also gives you some important information here. It tells you the name of the quiz you're publishing, when it will be available, the time of day it will be available at. I set this one to be available at 1 a.m. for our early bird students. Where it's posted, the time limit, the number of submissions. This really has the full amount of any settings you put into that tester quiz. It's going to display it right here before you publish that quiz. All right, so now we're kind of transitioning into the gradebook tool. After we've sent the testing quiz to the gradebook, we've checked that send over to gradebook option. It's going to come down in the very bottom of our gradebook as an unassigned gradebook item. And this is kind of a problem because students won't be able to see their grades when it's assigned like this, and it won't be included as a part of the total grade right now. You can see the zeros are grayed out and not applicable at the moment. So that, again, this seems complicated, but it's an easy step. It's an easy fix. This is a little bit more of a zoomed out view of your gradebook. Again, you can see that this item I have over here, and I've dragged it up into a category. I've either have a test and quizzes category already created, or I've created a new category called test and quizzes. And I would now be dragging that unassigned quiz up into this category to assign it to a category, as well as checking this include and grade option, which now makes it part of the total grade. It's being factored in to the 100%, either your weighted grade or your point value grades, and the grades are also being released to students. The second item. The second item is checked by default. This first item is not checked by default. Okay, now jumping back into the test and quizzes tool, outside of the gradebook tool, we're going to be actually grading our individual tests and quizzes. There's a few ways that we can get to the grading aspect of the test and quizzes tool. So again, I've selected an action. I've selected the drop-down menu on a particular quiz. I'm going to select either the scores button right here, or I could select the submitted counter over here. Both of these items take you to the same page. It takes you to this page right here, the total scores page. You can see that item associated right here. This gives you a plethora of information. It tells you the student's name, the submission date, the time and date that they submitted their assignment, how long they took on their assignment. It automatically generates a score for you based on the right answers that you inputted into your quiz. This also allows you to adjust scores individually or even globally. You could add a point to every student's quiz if there was some kind of curve or some kind of extra credit that needed to be added to the quiz. Also, if you have a nice long list, you have a ton of students in a particular course or a particular quiz, you can also search per student with the search fixture up here too. So now we're going to pop back over and go to submission status on the left-hand side, still inside of the grading tool inside of testing quizzes. So this gives you a little bit of a different view. This allows you to see the students who have submitted their quiz. The students who have not yet submitted their quiz will not be on this list. The top feature of the submission status is the allow for retake button right here. You can go in and manually allow for a retake in case a student has messed up the time of the quiz, they didn't properly submit their quiz, or what have you. This is one feature that we definitely get asked about a lot. How do I allow my student to retake their quiz? So now jumping back on the other side, we're going to go over to questions. Some of these other tools inside of the grading aren't as important. You can see some statistics of the testing quiz, who got what right, just some numbers on what students inputted into your quiz. But the last most helpful tool right here is the question tool. You can click through each one of your questions. Depending on how many questions you have, you can see the individual answers of students and even go back and grade per question for a student and rectify something that may have happened during the automatic grading process. So finally, I'm going to move on to question pools. And I'm going to spend a little bit more time on question pools because it's definitely one of our more advanced features. Markup text is a little bit more advanced, but I find it very easy to learn and easy to adapt. The first time I've used it was the last time I ever created a quiz manually. Using markup text is very easy now. Question pools, I still struggle with that time to time. They can become confusing, but they also are very powerful at the same time. So how to get to question pools. So if we started on the Tests and Quizzes tool on the front page of Tests and Quizzes, we'd look for this question pools tab up at the top. We'd click that, and it would show us this nice menu of all our question pools. I have a few question pools inside of my question pools category, but for some of you, it might be blank. For others, they might have created question pools. This question pools tab looks the same in any quiz, in any course that you're in. It syncs itself across all your courses, so if you've created a question or a question pool within one of your courses, you could easily transfer that, sync it, import it without having to do anything. It's ready for you to go to pull into another course or another quiz. Let's see. Again, one of the biggest features of question pools is randomization. So it allows you to create a quiz, to create a number of questions. So we have 20 questions, and then it allows us to create an assessment and select from that pool of 20 questions and let them randomly assign themselves to question numbers. So instead of every student taking question 1 through 20 succinctly, they're all going to be taking different order of questions within the same list of questions. So I'm going to go through and teach you guys how to do that. Again, it's simple. There are a few steps and a little bit of to-dos to get the action to complete, but it is simple once you've learned the process. So getting a question pool started is probably one of the more advanced things that we need to do. So on the last page, you can see there was an Add New Pool feature. You click that Add New Pool button, and it's going to bring you right here, and it's going to give you the ability to add a title to your pool, maybe give it a description. After you've given it a title, you're well on your way to adding parts. Parts, this is where it gets a little confusing. A part could be also called a question. A part is just a part of your question pool. It's adding individual questions to the pool. So we would go down the line, add a part, select our question type, whether it's multiple choice or essay question or a true or false question. We'd select the type of question we want. Again, remember when we were using the markup text, one of the last steps was create a question pool. So we could easily use markup text in this situation and create a question pool at the end. But if we were doing the manual process, we'd go through, add a part, add a question type, paste the question information in, assign it a point value, and move on and add another part after that.
How did you get to the add? Because I'm in the pool. I just created a pool. Do I hit save, and then will it give me the option to add questions?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think you need to save and then click into that pool. And then once you've clicked into the pool, it gives you the option to add a part.
Okay.
So now that once you've created your pool, you have all your questions added, you've added all the individual parts. Now we're going to snap back to the very front of the question or the tests and quizzes tool. We're going to go back to the front page. You could hit that little spinny pink icon in the top left to reset that tool to the front page. You're going to create a new assessment or add a new assessment, and this is going to allow you to select. Oops. This is going to allow you to check this random draw from question pool option. Under type, you can see there's title, description, you can add attachments, and then under type, there's the option to random draw from question pools. You're going to select that button, which is going to bring in another option, which is the pool name and the total number of questions. And this gives you a drop-down menu to select any of your question pools from a drop-down menu. It gives you the title of the question pool as well as how many questions are inside of that question pool. So this is kind of where question pools come into play a little differently than a normal created assessment. So we could add, you could have multiple question pools inside of here. And again, the biggest part right here is you are drawing from a random pool of quizzes. So if you have, say, in this this question pool right here for quiz 3, this question pool has 17 questions in it. It would randomize all 17 questions in a different order for each student as they took the quiz. So that's really what I have for my presentation. I want to go over you guys' questions right now. We might have some questions from online, but I know you guys are going to have questions about the process or even about something outside of the test and quizzes tool. I'm going to do my best to answer those questions as well as go over things. Hopefully I can get Sakai running up in here too. But feel free to ask questions now.
Tim, I don't know if this falls under gradebook or quizzes. What do you do with students, learning enrichment center students, that you need to provide them the same quiz, but you need to provide them more time for it? Does that double up on the gradebook? Total points?
Yeah, so his question was about special needs assessments for maybe a particular student needs a longer quiz, and that student needs a longer quiz rather than other students need shorter quizzes. Yeah, I think the answer might be creating either an entirely new quiz for that student. I don't think we could have a specific timed quiz for a particular student. I think we'd have to create a special situation for that. What do you think, Steve?
So you can put separate groups.
Yeah, you could use groups.
Yeah, so I've created the class, all the normal kids, in a normal group, and then I have the special needs students in a separate group. But then, I create a copy of the first quiz, and then I add more time for the special needs students. So there's 2 quizzes in the gradebook, one for normal and one for the special needs. But then the total points in the gradebook is for both of those quizzes together. Now, is that just my view of looking at it, or because they're in separate groups, they're actually only being added for those students in the gradebook? You know what I mean?
What you may need to do is not include the second group in the grading in the gradebook and manually transfer their grade to the other first quiz.
Okay, I tried that. That doesn't work because it doesn't allow me to add the grade for the special needs student manually into the gradebook, because it says the grade can only be applied from the quiz.
Yeah, but I think
so. I had to add it back.
You can go into the original quiz and override the grade. So instead of doing it in the gradebook, you can go back to the quiz and override the grade. I think there's a box in there for override.
It didn't allow me to do that either.
Okay.
So
for those set of students, yeah.
Okay.
Just to briefly summarize that, Jeff said that he had created 2 different groups, one for the special needs assessment and one for the other students, and he had a little bit of a problem trying to change the grades for certain students, or even for to bring the grade into for that one student. And we said maybe overriding the grade at the end might be the proper procedure. But again, we'll follow up with that as well.
We had one question online asking if you can go over real quick about how to create a grade pool.
So again, this is my question pools. This would show up the same in any course that I clicked question pools inside of. I would start by clicking the Add New Pool button. I would give the pool a name. Click Save. I'm going to see that pool in my my list of pools here. I'm going to click into it. And now, I'm sorry, here's, so this button over here on the side, there's a nice, they like to hide it from you. There's a nice little button over here that allows you to add questions or add parts. You could also add subpools. You could have multiple pools within inside of one pool. I'm not exactly sure how that works with the randomization, but adding questions here will allow you to select a question type.
Now, Tim, you don't have a screenshot of that, so I can't display it for the streamers. You're going to have to kind of describe where it's at.
Yeah, again, so for the question pools, there will be after you've created a new pool or added a new pool using that button in the top right corner, or the top left corner, excuse me, you're going to scroll down a little bit and find the pool you've created, and you're going to select the pool. Say you've called it test, you're going to select the test. You're going to scroll down a little bit and look on the right-hand side for an add button next to you'll see 0 questions on the left-hand side of the screen, and you'll see an add button on the right-hand side of the screen. And then from there, we could create a new assessment. I'm adding an assessment title and pushing the create button on the front page of Test and Quizzes tool. It didn't like that. I've already made a test, that's why. I'm going to go in and add a part. Again, if I go back into this quiz, on right below the preview button, there's an add part button. I'm going to select add part. Yeah, you could name this. You could name this a few things. You could give this a name, say part 1, or you could title it default. And titling it default, you see there's a note underneath the title right here. If the part of the title, if the title is default, it will not be visible to the assessment. So labeling it default does not show a part inside of the assessment. It will simply start randomizing the questions if you've selected to randomize from a question pool. So again, I scrolled down, I've selected the type. I've instead of it being selected as questions authored one by one, I'm going to random draw from a question pool. I now have the ability to select one of these question pools. Let's say, let's see. It knows by default how many questions. You could tell it a lesser amount of questions if you only wanted to, say, give students 10 questions or 15 questions. You could denote that here, as well as you could assign point values for all the questions. If you had chosen not to assign points as you added the quiz, or you wanted to assign a different point value, you could go ahead and do that here. I'm clicking Save to save the question pool. And now this pool is ready to be published. If I preview it, it would show that I would get inside here and start randomizing my questions. Of course, you'd have to know what the order of the questions were in the first place. Any other questions?
Would you mind doing that again? I have a quiz that I'm trying to make available to the students to publish. And I have it as a working copy. I have 20 questions from the pool that I want to use, but I wanted to randomly select 10.
Okay.
And I just couldn't find that part. So from a working copy of a quiz, do that?
You'd have to start with a brand new assessment, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't think you could.
I mean, it was eventually, I mean, it was originally a brand new assessment, and I just couldn't figure out, and the point value too, where I couldn't locate that. So I'd have to.
Well, if you go in and edit and add a part, you should be able to go in and add a new part in random draw from a certain question pool. So again,
So when I go into edit, there's 20 questions default under part 1.
So you'd either have to delete that part and add a new part. That'd probably be the process. Or if you scroll below that part 1, there's probably a button to add a second part. So again, we're just clarifying how to add a question pool to an assessment with parts.
Tim, could you show them on the screen where the markup language examples are?
So I'm going to show, within Sakai, I'm going to show where the markup text is included. So again, if you create using markup text, let's give this test 3. I'm going to create a quiz. This now takes me directly to the markup input box. And again, you could go through and get some general instructions on how to input the initial question and point value, as well as instructions for specific types of questions: multiple choice, multiple correct answer, fill in the blank, short essay, true or false questions. And again, it's as simple as typing
I have a question. The 10 points you put in there, is that per question or for the whole test?
That's per question.
So every time you put it in there is per question?
Yes. The question was, when you add a point value to markup text, is that globally for the whole test, or is it per question? And the answer was per question for the value. Test my spelling abilities here. And again, I would denote the right answer with an asterisk. See, I spelled something wrong. And then the markup text goes ahead and creates the question. It assigns the type of question, it assigns the point value, and it realized that I put an asterisk next to B, Sacramento as the right answer. If I wanted to, I could go back and edit this pretty easily by selecting. I thought you could. Maybe you can. Have to go back and probably edit my quiz here. But again, if I'm all said and done, the proper question and answer has been copied over or inputted, I could either create a question pool from this pane, or I could create an assessment. If I create a question pool, it's going to take me over to the question pools tab and show me somewhere on here that I've created a new test 3. I've created a new question pool with 1 question in it. But it is not, choosing that option is not going to publish a working copy. So lastly, to talk kind of about the differences between working copies and published copies, this is, again, one of the newer intricacies to the testing quizzes tool. So instead of having a long list and showing which quizzes are published and which quizzes are not published, we now have the ability to look at quizzes that we may be editing or creating, as well as quizzes that are published and live to students. This is where we will go over and receive the scores option to get into the grading settings. From here, if you were to try to edit this quiz, it would ask you to unpublish the quiz, retract the quiz. It gets really mad at you when you try to edit a quiz in a published copy.
Why?
Because you published it, you've made it live. It's a final version, and they have working copies for you to edit rather than published copies. So a better process may be going in, editing your working copy with your edits or a new question or something that you may have gotten wrong in the past, and then going back in and especially if this quiz is live, if you have students taking the quiz, it's currently open for students to be actively taking it. You don't want to be retracting the quiz, yanking it from the live settings. Your students are going to be freaking out, wondering why they can't see the quiz, wondering what happened to it. So editing and working copying is definitely a better idea than trying to edit a published quiz inactive, and there'll be that quiz back into its published state and back into its active state.
It doesn't like it, but it's possible.
It is possible, but yeah, it really just doesn't like it.
But you can extend the test time without retracting the published test.
Yes, you could, yeah.
By going into settings.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if just the biggest no-no is clicking the edit button. It's gonna give you some warnings. It's going to say, this assessment has already been published. This box doesn't look too friendly. It's going to be retracted, unavailable to students until you republish it. Clicking edit is going to modify the assessment. Clicking cancel will allow you to not do any of these terrible things.
If you have students that had already taken that quiz, is it keep the quiz with the student? So if they had the old one, they're going to get the correct values from what they took, but new students would only get the new one, and does it keep track of both of those?
In that situation, if you did have students that had already taken the live quiz, that's when you would be going in and editing the published version and going through the steps to edit that version and then reactivate it afterwards and republish it.
If you reactivate it and say you change one of those questions, are the previous students going to get the correct view of that, and only the new students will see the new version? Or is it one quiz out there that both of them we're now going to be seeing after it's retracted?
Yeah, we've actually got 3 variations on that. One is the students taking the quiz and submitted it as completed. The other students are in the middle of the quiz, and then the other ones haven't even started the new version.
Right.
Which is why if it's really bad news to republish a quiz once they've started on it.
Right.
But if that were the case, I would probably take it offline and then republish it as a different quiz. Instead, that was quiz A, this is going to be quiz B. If you haven't taken the quiz already, take quiz B. Then you would have grades for quiz A and grades for quiz B.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise you might have to go through and allow retakes for all the students or something like that. So what we're talking about is if a quiz was in an active state and a few students had already taken the quiz, and then we were to remove that quiz from its active state and try to edit a question, where would the students be with answering those questions and getting their grades? And the answer was that there just might be too many things going on if we have my computer's done, I guess. Too many things going on.
Depending on how bad the error is in it.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario is you eliminate question 5 and 7 from the quiz grading.
Yeah.
And you give them all credit for that.
Yes.
And next year we'll get it right.
So I attempted to create a quiz using the markup text, and it gives you the next option. So I created 3 or 4 questions. I hit next, and then it just bumps you out. So I was like, well, how do I access that? Well, it's on the working copies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then when I access my quiz 2 markup to edit it further, it only allows me to edit it in the regular assessment builder.
Yeah, yeah.
So is that saying that if you're going to use markup, you have to get it 100% right? Otherwise, you won't be able to go back and edit it?
You can. You could go back and edit those individual questions inside of the assessment builder, but markup is kind of a one-time transfer of information.
Got it.
Yes.
So I cut and pasted it into a Word document, save it in the Word document, and then if I make a mistake, I blow away the quiz, and then I copy it back into the Word document after I made the correction.
That's important to know.
Yeah, so we're talking about inputting markup text, and if there's ability to edit markup text after you've hit the next button and created an assessment. And we're saying that a natural process would be to create a Word document and edit a quiz within inside of that Word document. And if you get something wrong, it would be to delete that quiz and then re-input the markup text from your Word document.
Going back to the already published, and the students already took the test and gave them points, and I realized I gave too many points per question, and that's going to make it worth more than other tests that were really worth more. Can you go back and change the value, or you're stuck?
You could. You could go back. In that might be more of a gradebook issue with the weight of your gradebook and what you decided what point values kind of thing. So that might be something more that you would deal with inside of your gradebook.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, that is all up to how your gradebook is set up, whether it's a weighted gradebook or a point value gradebook.
Can I ask, when you create a quiz and you're creating it, you showed us the grade option. It'll automatically score it, and the only other piece that we can do grading-wise is to add a comment next to each student's answer. And that way the student would not only have their final score, but they would have some comments if I wanted to add comments. But I noticed when I was doing the assessment builder, it gave you an option to show a correct or incorrect answer. Could you go over that, or do you not?
Yeah, I can try. Here, let me go over the process of getting a testing quiz into the right part of the gradebook. So I
understood that. That was my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on one sec.
It was when you go to score, it just gives you the option, right, to add comments. There's nothing else that you would do.
Yeah, comments. You could provide feedback in the settings. I don't know what the difference between those two things are.
So you could freehand type a comment, but I noticed that in actually building the assessment, when I was building the questions, it gave me an option to create an automatic.
Yeah, you can have it.
This is incorrect. Here's the correct answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there is that ability inside of the editor. There's the ability to, and I think it would be when you're initially setting up your assessment, maybe when you create one, excuse me.
I think if you're using the markup, use the markup, and then you can go back in and edit the quiz and add those extra comments. If it's right, put this comment. If it's wrong, put this comment.
Right.
Question.
Yeah, so
there's a markup language for that.
Feedback.
There's some feedback.
Yeah, under feedback, you'd be selecting, like question level feedback, selection level feedback, immediate feedback, feedback on a submission. So there are a few options for feedback inside of the settings. So again, that would be under your working copy before you publish it. You would edit these settings. So if feedback was something that, as you were setting your delivery dates, your timed assessment, your submission status, you would go in and edit some feedback settings.
And if I selected question level feedback, that means that it would give an automatic, if I type in B is incorrect because this reason, selecting that question level feedback would make that message pop up.
As well as immediate feedback right here.
Okay, you have to have both selected. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So again, I will go over the gradebook option really quick. I published, oh, no I didn't.
Sorry, I retracted it.
Retracted it.
Sorry, I was editing with you.
Retracting the quizzes. Yeah, so selecting under selecting feedback and immediate feedback, question level feedback, it even gives some more options here. The comments, the student assessment scores, correct responses. So I haven't messed with some of these feedback settings, though, I must admit.
Those are going to play good. I wish I would. Sorry, the bottom was retracted. Edit post regression.
So again, when you have, if you are editing a published quiz, it's giving you some more warnings. It's telling you when you do click republish, you have two options here. You could either republish it without grades coming over, or you could regrade and republish, which is going to send the items back to the grade book as well as publishing the quiz. Of course, I don't have any submissions to send back, so I don't think we're going to get started. Maybe one more try.
There you go. We're good to publish.
I don't have any submissions, though, I don't think. So it's not going to send it over to Gradebook. But yeah, so inside a Gradebook, there would be that unassigned category. I could go in, create a new item, a new category. I want to create a new item. Gradebook is not playing today. All right, we're going to move on. Any other questions for tests and quizzes?
You mentioned that you can use tests, like say the publishers. How do you do that?
Sorry, repeat your question.
You said earlier you can use an already named test and just put it in there.
So again, that was using the markup builder.
Markup. How do you do that?
So on the front page of tests and quizzes, I've given a title to an assessment, as well as selecting create using markup text. I hit the create button, and then this gives you a box where you can input those formatted questions by having the point value, the question number. And then selecting specifying the right answer by putting a asterisk next to the right answer. And then incorrect answers are left without an asterisk.
Tim, if you go to multiple choice on the side, I'll give you an example right there.
Yeah, so again, the example I was using earlier, it gives the question number 1, it specifies the point value in parentheses, it gives the question on the next line, who is the first president, and then it marks number A with an asterisk.
But I don't think that's the question. I think,
Already,
for
yeah.
example, McGraw-Hill, the textbook, has the quiz builder that you can export out into XML, and then you can import in. The problem is that I don't know where the XML formatting rules are, so that I know that when I export it out of McGraw-Hill, which is where the textbook is, right? And so it's developing the quiz question for us. and then importing it back into Sakai so you don't have to retype everything, regardless of this process, the markup.
Yeah, so there are ways to export quizzes. They generally, things get pretty messed up when you try to export an XML file over. I would suggest that you download those copies in a Word document format or a PDF document.
Yeah, mine come in PDF or doc.
So I would take that information from that PDF, put the markup text formatting over that, and then copy that information into the markup tool. So you could, inside of a Word document, you could paste all the stuff that the textbook.
Paste it and put it in there?
You could do it that way. I'd suggest using a Word document before and editing that Word document with this formatting. And then taking all that formatting, all the quiz questions, copying that entirely, and then pasting it into this box.
So I still have to go through.
Yeah, trying to import, there is an import function for the tests and quizzes. It gives you two different types. It's usually pretty finicky when you're trying to import this way.
Well, I was looking for what's the formatting standards that Sakai's looking for, and couldn't find it.
Yeah, I would have to look into that. I don't know.
Well, XML is a common format, but Sakai won't necessarily read your XML file, and I understand that's what your question is, but
yeah. But even if I had to do a minor modification to do that, it would sure be a lot easier than having to either cut and paste everything out and then reformat it using the markup text, or just retyping everything.
Yeah.
At that point, I'm going to hire a student.
But not one of your class.
Yes.
Well, that's okay.
I have two sections of the same class, and I created a quiz in one. What's the best way to have the same quiz in the other section?
So it would be probably using So the question was how to get if you have two sections of the same course, how would you get a quiz from one section to the other? There are a number of ways you could do that. There are export functions inside of the test and quiz if you were trying to get one quiz over there. There's also global ways to take all of your content from a particular test and quizzes tool. We could help you that within our office. We could help you transfer that material for you if you so chose. But
I tried export. And I must have been doing something incorrectly.
Yeah, there's also more advanced tools under Site Editor that would allow you to import from sites. So you could choose to take all information from a particular test and quizzes tool and move it over into another course that you were assigned. It's pretty easy. There's a few options. There's either replace your data or merge your data. You could select merging your data. You'd go in, you'd find the course that you want to transfer the data from, and then you would select the test and quizzes tool and hit finish, and that would bring all of that material from that particular course into the course that you'd like to import into. So the course that you don't have material into, you'd go into, click Site Editor, hit import from course, find the course that you want to import from, and then bring over the test and quizzes content.
If I wanted to do the export and I chose QTI version 1.2,
yeah, so that,
and then it went to my downloads, then what do I do with it?
You could choose to try to import it back into your test and quizzes tool using this import function, but that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, kind of thing.
So I would be able to see it from the export assessment box, or I have to...
Yeah, the site editor would be probably the best way to transfer material from one course to another.
You can click on upload the file that you saved to your computer as an import.
Yeah.
The other way of doing that is just to take the quiz, and create a pool with just that quiz in it.
Oh, and then I'd see it.
And then you'll see the
That's
pool.
better.
Questions.
Yeah.
That's much better, yeah.
Yes, Mike?
So let me give a little bit of context to some of these questions. If you're using a publisher, like set of quizzes, depending on how much you are using that quiz set, it may not be worth importing in here. Like, and what I mean by that is, if let's say you're using a McGraw-Hill textbook that has like a quiz for every single chapter, every single section, and it's like hundreds or whatever it is that, and you just want for students to practice with them, and you don't want to record the results, like low stakes or no stakes kind of thing, I would just recommend you tell your students to do it in the publisher's site, because usually they have that. Most publishers have their own site with their own quiz kind of functionality, as opposed to trying to move things over to Sakai and then doing it here. Because if it's a low stake or no stake kind of practice quiz, then it's really the value is in the doing of it, not so much in being able to get it right or wrong. I mean, obviously they should get it right, but I think as an instructor, in terms of the value that you're providing, that's just a practice kind of tool for the students. So that's one point I want to make. The other point is in terms of if you really want to import quizzes from publishers, there are I know for sure that there are software that we can explore to help you import some of that to your course. However, once like with any kind of test banks, you go through one semester, 1 year of it, and those become sort of there's a liability of the students sharing answers from previous semester or previous year, and that becomes an issue in terms of your next cohort of students. Like they may already have roommates who took it, and whatever reason they may have made a copy of it or a screenshot or whatever, so that may compromise the value of the quiz. So I think there's a bigger kind of issue I want to point to, which is when you're doing multiple choice quizzes. Yes, I know that it's part of necessity depending on the size of the course that you're teaching, but then there's also a way to create quizzes that don't require like quantity as a way to capture understanding. Does that make sense? There are ways you can create multiple choice quizzes, and we're happy to, if you just we're happy to sit down and kind of help you with some of this creating a multiple choice quizzes that actually require a lot of critical thinking and processing. That it isn't like an ABC thing. There could be multiple right answers, but really the value of those kinds of quizzes is, I think, a lot more than just picking the right, concrete. Here's A as the answer, and that's that. Does that make sense? I'm not trying to discourage you from using multiple choice quizzes. However, when you do use it in a way that fosters learning and critical thinking, and in a way that doesn't. It's not just sort of this rote memory of the answer to this question, because if you do that over time, it's just a matter of time before students start recycling quiz questions among themselves, and then you start having questions about, did I use this question last semester, did I not? And then you kind of get into this weird managing of quiz question, which is really not the best use of your time.
Are there any other questions? All right, so if you do have further questions, whether it's on test and quizzes or Sakai in general, our department is happy to follow up on those questions. There's two ways you can contact us. You could contact us via ittsupport@apu.edu, or you could go to support.apu.edu and click submit a request, and that would be pointed to the proper channels, and we will be happy to follow up on any issues you have, as well as try to answer your questions from here on out. We hope to have more Sakai workshops this semester. As the semester ends, I think we will have a grade book workshop to go over getting your grades in. Some of the grade book tool is definitely one of the more intricate tools within Sakai. So look for that kind of around November. After that, I think we're done. Please, if you have any more questions, please email us or open up a work order, and we'd be happy to try to help you to our best ability. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.